Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tech Nook. I'm Gabby,
I'm James.
and we're going to talk to you today about green screen.
Yay!
Yay.
I like the green screen.
Yeah,
I have one
just,
right behind me.
Yes. Yeah, James is prepared. I am not.
We're going to be doing
I'm
some live examples today, or
yeah.
pre-recorded examples,
Mhm. Yeah.
other than doing like a music video in front of the green screen, taking it another step past that,
Mhm.
creating whole worlds.
Yeah. So how do you create these worlds?
How do we create these worlds? Is this something that we can do in a step-by-step fashion and create something right now?
Sure, let's do it.
Let me take you on a stroll through this little studio today. So here's our camera
Yay.
pointing at the green screen. And on the green screen right now, I have a lonely guitar. And what's really important is that the screen completely covers all around the guitar. That's really, really important. It looks pretty smooth. So it's really important to have the smoothest green screen you can find. And so this is just a sheet I got off Amazon for maybe $30. And some poles to hold them up. Best way to get out wrinkles from a sheet, a spray bottle of water. Here's a time-lapse video of me doing it earlier. See how fast that dries, and just dries it totally smooth like this. This sheet is also kind of thin, so I have another sheet behind it that's just gray or white, just to give it a little more thickness, because without it you can see the lights through it. Lighting is also really important. You want to try to avoid shadows behind you. So I'm going to try to do some lights. I have these lights, and the brand is IKAN, I-K-A-N.
Oh, okay.
And they're big. They're pretty bright. You can adjust the brightness and then the yellow or whiteness of it. So I'm going to set up the lights. One here. All right, so there's still a little bit of a shadow back here. I'm not gonna worry too much about it because Gabby and I created a story a little while ago, and Gabby sent me some footage of her talking to me.
Yes, I was talking to you.
It was very awkward because I was not there, because Gabby does not live in Yonkers.
No, I do not.
Gabby, I actually don't know where you live. I forget. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta.
Gabby lives in Atlanta, and I'm in New York. We are very far away, and it's really hard we would not be able to have a conversation next to each other. But let's say we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Say because families might not be able to visit, friends might not be able to be next to each other. So it's a way to have people together. Gabby, I'm going to green screen myself into your apartment.
What?
What? Are you comfortable with that?
Maybe.
Big maybe. So Gabby earlier sent me a video of her acting. I'm going to say, hey. Hey.
And I'm ignoring him. Oh, there you go.
James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll leave my shoes off. But do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Oh, too bad. Ha 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 ha. The classic bait and switch.
I know.
All right. So I'm going to go over there. I'm going to stand back on the green screen.
And have a conversation with me.
Have a conversation. So I'm going to go and show you my stands, and then I'm going to come back over and press play on Gabby's video.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm going to stand on it.
Nice.
And so I can tell on the screen that I am completely surrounded by green. Now, a good thing to keep in mind is that if I'm going too far over to the side, my arm is going to be cut off for the green. Or if I jump higher out of frame, it's going to get cut off as well. So depending on what your actions are and what you're acting, being mindful of your surroundings is a huge deal.
Yeah.
It can create, I mean, it's not, the end of things, but it helps create something a little smoother when you don't have to cut out around an arm.
Yeah.
Or leave it in, and
like,
then it kind of suspends this illusion.
right.
We like the disillusion. All right, I'm going to hit record on my camera. I'm going to go over there. Gabby's going to say action, and I'm going to try
All right.
to her shot.
All right.
What side was I? I'm on. I need to be on.
You need on the stage right. Right. Well, you're left. Wait, nope. You're right. Yes, right.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. I can always flip it too.
Yeah.
Post, but if I was wearing something with words, so I just have to make. So it doesn't matter where I stand. I can stand. I need to stand in the middle, but I want to make sure I look over here to Gabby. Gabby, how tall are you? So
Wait, hold on. No, you're looking this way. You're looking the other way. You should be looking the other way.
You're right. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm pretty short.
So Gabby's over there. So I'm gonna. Okay.
I'm 5'3".
I want to try to think of what she looks like, so I can look at her instead of not at her. Little things to think about. And the guitar will be right there. And so the idea is that I'm going to make the guitar rocket up into space as a joke, because I like jokes and making guitars fly.
All right, you ready, James?
I'm ready.
All right, action.
Hey. Hey.
Hey. James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to leave my shoes on, but hey, do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad. Sucker.
Wow.
I don't know. I might have reached too high. It's hard to tell. I'm going to let it fly. I'm going to let it ride, because if I was able to look at myself at the same time. Did I line up the audio okay?
There were some parts that were a little, like,
Should I try again?
Like it went a little bit over what I was saying, but it wasn't too bad. Like, you could just edit that in post.
It's always fun to do. Let's do 2 takes. I'll do another take.
Okay, let's do another take. That's another thing, guys. It's great to have a couple of takes you can choose from.
If you're pushing wheelchairs onto a green screen, it gets bunched up very quickly. So just be mindful of that.
Also walkers, too.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. All right. You ready, James?
Ready.
And action.
Hey.
Hey. James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad.
That's a wrap.
All right, cut. I'm going to do a little filming of just the guitar, and you'll see why very soon. I'm going to frame the guitar to be center, and it is totally covered all around with green. Again, that's the most important part. All right, I'm going to import all the footage.
So while James is importing the footage, I want to talk about alternatives to a green screen, just in case you don't have a real green screen yet. So if you're trying to do something quick, you can also buy like a green tablecloth from like the dollar store, or a couple of them, and tack them up to the wall. And then you can also get green poster board, but you have to be careful how you position it. And taping it together so that there's not like shadows underneath each of the poster boards layering on top of each other. So if you're in a bind and really want to do green screen but don't have an actual green screen yet, then those alternatives that you can use. They're not the best, but they work.
Okay, so what you're looking at now is the blank template of Final Cut Pro. So over here I have, in Final Cut Pro, you have libraries, events, and projects. The library is going to be where all the videos are stored. And then an event is going to be maybe what, like different days of footage. You can collect footage into different areas. And then the project is going to be the video edit that you're going to be working on. So I have nothing in this project here. The library is called green screen. I have it saved in a folder with the clips, and I'm going to click and drag the clips into import media. In the way sometimes. All right, so I'm going to click new project, and I'm going to label it green screen guitar. I don't know, name it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I filmed the resolution. You could do automatic settings based off of the first thing that you import in. I generally film at 30 frames a second. So the first thing I want to do is I want to import, I need to get Gabby in there. I got to put the base layer, which is Gabby, and that is, it's really helpful to have all your files in one location.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I will use Gabby's video as the base video. So the video itself will be 720. So I believe it should like downsample the other stuff, as opposed to then making Gabby look more blocky than the rest of us.
Right.
So here's this. Right. So before we're talking about layering, so what that means is I'm going to put my second take, which is this one. I'm going to find where I started, which is about here. I'm going to press I for in, and then O for out. You could also click and drag the starting and end point. So this is the whole video that when I hit record on the camera, but I only want to use this part here. So I'm going to click and drag it over this portion. And now I have to sort of play with it a little bit to get it to line up audio of Gabby and me. Almost. I can scooch this over a little bit. It looks like this is you talking. This is me talking. There we go.
Hey, James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad. All right, so that's all lined up. I'm gonna now add just the guitar track over it. And with this one, we don't need the audio for this one. So I'm gonna just make this audio all the way down. I'm gonna stretch it to fill everything. It was almost long enough, but the video will probably start right about here.
Yeah.
I'll trim that at the end. All right, so now you see that I put the guitar track on top of me, on top of the Gabby track. So, but all we see now is the guitar. So this is where we need to add our green screen, the keying. And you could find it here under the different effects and then keyer. Most software will just be drag and drop. So I'm going to drag and drop it onto the guitar. And then all of a sudden, there's a giant guitar on top of me.
Whoa.
Whoa. And it's really confusing to look at. So I'm going to take my track. I'm going to press the letter V to hide my track. So now we see everything that was green is invisible. So we sort of see like this window.
Yeah.
My office to Gabby's apartment. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to masking and I'm going to draw a mask, click and drag. I'm going to draw a mask around the guitar. So because the guitar is stationary, I'm just going to do it, pretend it's like scissors. And when I finish this, everything on the outside is going to go away. So now it's just the guitar. With the keyer, I'm going to look at these different tools a little bit. I'm going to go to map tools and sort of so around the edges of the guitar, you can kind of see a little bit of reflection of the green. I'm going to kind of mess with these settings just a little bit. I like to just soften and erode it just a little bit to give it a softer bit. But now it's still sort of like floating a little bit. So I'm going to move it down a little bit. Now it looks like it's just a guitar.
That's a tiny guitar.
Tiny guitar. Just sort of hanging out there.
Yeah, there you go.
Gabby. And it's for this one, it's okay that it's going off the screen because we want to think about where it is in relation to Gabby. So if like Gabby's feet are there, I'll want it sort of in front of us a little bit.
Yeah.
What's cool is you can actually see through like the tuning pegs a little bit to it.
Yeah.
All right, so guitar is there. It's weird when you walk towards the camera. All right, so I'm gonna unhide myself. So now it's the guitar on me. And I want to do the same things I did before with keying and then masking. So click and drag keying over to me. Now I am a small James in Gabby's apartment. I'm going to draw a mask again. This one I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to try to just go where the green is. Hopefully I didn't walk too close to the edge of the green screen.
I don't think you did.
Yeah. This is where having somebody monitor the shot would be helpful. But it's just me here today. Gabby, why aren't you,
No, why am I
looking
not?
at the camera? And then again with the keying tools, the matte tools, I'm going to just look at my edges a little bit. So if you look at some of these, like it messes with the edges of the green. So depending on what you're wearing, the lighting, you can kind of play around with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the magic numbers. It's just by ear. All right, so here I am next to Gabby. Gabby, hey! We should have made it so I was actually tiny.
And you feel like looking up like this.
I could be upside down.
You could be.
All right, so
I feel like you could be a little taller, but that's fine.
all right, so there I am. I don't have a shadow. That would be a whole nother thing to worry about, to think about in this.
Oh, yeah.
My lighting is a little bit different than Gabby. I might bump through the wall. So I'm a little bit brighter than Gabby. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play around with my exposure a little bit to try to just match it a little bit, the highs and the lows. This is where lighting is also really important to consider if you're filming, if you want realism. If you don't, then, do whatever you want. It's just other things that can, bring things up a notch. Or if you want the challenge of messing with lighting, or doing it before or after. All right, that's as good as I think I'm gonna get it for right now. I could spend a lot of time. I could also lighten up Gabby's a little bit too.
You could. I'm a ghost.
Yes. All right, so that's the step here. So right now. Hey.
Hey, James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad. All right, so the idea here now is to make this guitar go in outer space. Blast off. So we're going to talk about keyframes, and this is for animating now too. This video could be done right here, and it could just be me being silly, and I could make it disappear, or I can make it explode and balls of fire. But I'm going to make it blast off into space. So this is for FinalCut. It's this transform tool, the same one we use to just move it around in space where we want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the initial keyframe here. Ooh, that sort of anchors it, locks it where it is. And I'm going to wait till it gets to where I want it to be.
Hey.
Or the moment of blast
James,
off.
what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad. All right, right about there is where my magic powers make it blast off.
Whoa.
All right, so I'm gonna add another keyframe there. Sometimes it disappears, so I just undo it or unselect and select again. Add a keyframe. So now it's locked there. So now I'm going frame by frame, hitting the right arrow. And basically, now you'll see that there's a little path that it's going to follow. It's going to follow this. And now I'm looking up here, so I guess it's got to be up there. And now it's just going to stay up there. Now this animated bit is...
Oh.
I didn't see that one coming.
No.
All right. So we have animated an object to go up and down. Now to the next step that we can do is what's called adding a blur, a directional blur, which will give it sort of that look that it's in motion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this blur to 0 first. I hide this. There's the blur. Okay, set the blur to 0, which means 0 blur. I'm going to go to right where it blasts off. It starts to blast off. All right. I'm going to add a keyframe just before. Right. We're going to want, since it's going up, we're going to want it to be like right there. All right. I'm going to go as it starts to rise. I'm going to add a keyframe. And now once it's moving, we want to make this blur just a little bit. Gabby's like, whatever. Motion blur. It adds a little extra to it. All right, so now we've got our rocket taking off, but it's missing a couple other things, I think, too.
What is it missing, James?
It's missing smoke.
Ooh, smoke.
So I have been collecting from a website that offers 5 free downloads a day. It's called productioncrate.com. VFX.productioncrate.com. You could pay like a lot of money to get all of them in like 4K, or you could just download 5 a day. 5, they have a limited selection of free ones for download, and they top off at 5 a day.
We will put that on the PDF
Yes.
guide.
But I've got a good collection so far of stuff. So I'm gonna look real quick. Okay, I've got one that's called Dusty Shock that I'm gonna import in here. Dusty Shock looks like that. I think that'll be helpful to put in right above where the guitar blasts off. And what's nice about these is that it's already keyed out.
Oh, already transparent. Oh, nice.
So I'm just gonna kind of put it location-wise where I want it, and then add it.
Well, too bad.
I'm gonna add it just about where
You
I
go.
blast off. Maybe a little. My computer's trying to keep up with all this right now. With all
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of things happening.
And then I might want to add fire to it.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, that one's cool. Fireball.
Great balls of fire.
Here's a little fireball. See where it is. It's not really a rocket, but it'll be good enough. Make it a little bit smaller. All right, so it looks like the fire starts right about there. Now here's another chance that I'm going to animate this thing as well. Since it starts right about there, I'm gonna add a keyframe and then basically jump to the end of the clip and then find where the last bit of fire is and then move that to about under the guitar. So hopefully it kind of goes along with it.
Nice.
It's hard to keep track of with all these things happening and then not keeping up with the computer. So it's kind of cool. The next thing I'm going to do is some compositing. So that fire right now is like dense. It's like a hard fire. What we can do is just play with these overlays. You can make it a little see-through using overlay or screen. It gives it like, because you can see through fire. Like that.
That makes it a little bit more transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same with the dusty cloud. I'm gonna make that screen. Just gives it a little. All right, so they took off. All right, what do you think so far?
I think it looks great. Do you
Great.
think you do anything
Hey.
else, James?
I'm gonna add. So it's a loaded question. I'm now gonna trim the clip to get rid of.
Oh yes, trimming the clip. That's important.
Get rid of it beforehand.
Hey.
There we go, and then ending it.
That's so weird.
It's too trippy. I'm gonna end it to probably right when we both give up at acting. Right there. I'm gonna hold down. So I use the blade tool. I press B for blade. And if you hold down shift, it'll cut everything at that same location. I'm gonna select them all, delete them. So now this is all we got. One thing that I've been starting lately too is adding like that shaky cam, like that handheld camera look to it. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna nest everything together, turn it into one clip. So now it's just one clip. So now I can add effects basically to everything as a whole instead of
nice.
things at once, instead of one thing at a time. So now I'm gonna go, I think it's called Handheld. Yeah, Handheld, drag it on there. And now it just gives it sort of like that, like someone's there look. Like those Zach
Hey.
King
Oh
James,
yeah,
why are you
yeah.
in my room
Vine
with
slash
your shoes
YouTube
on?
slash TikTok.
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Then we could like, you could play with like the shakiness.
Sure.
Well, too bad.
It sort of helps. A lot of times this handheld mode helps mask little mistakes
Yeah.
in the editing, which is very helpful. And I think that's why they're used. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to wait a couple seconds, let it render, and then we'll play the finished clip.
All right. Sounds good. Wow, that's so many things you just added. But it made it look so cool.
Yeah.
I need to try that.
Hey.
Hey. James, what are you doing in my room with your shoes on?
Oh, sorry about the shoes, but do you want this guitar?
Sure.
Well, too bad.
I just shrug. And you're like making a guitar blast off in the space. I'm like, oh, it's James.
I keep thinking like more things like to add, like this like heavy metal, like there could be fun sound effects to add, like blasting off, other than my.
Oh
voice.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of fun you can have in post that you could do, or you could do in collaboration with whoever is in the video. So there's choices that could be made on the client's end, then that you can make it into the edit.
Right.
It's not very exciting watching somebody edit. I've yet to find the best practice of like editing at the same time as like a group is happening.
Well, I can show you that.
I would love to see that. Okay, bye.
Bye.